All right, we're live. So today I wanted to talk about motivation, maybe even a little bit of procrastination, because was definitely feeling some of that myself. Working long hours and get home, have a few days off, and I don't want to do anything. So I guess maybe we could talk about how we deal with motivation, willpower, procrastination, drive, all that kind of stuff. So I guess what's your general mindset when it comes to that kind of stuff? Do you usually put stuff off, or like how do you work?
I'm a horrible procrastinator.
I feel like everybody is. The only people that aren't are like the billionaires that you see on YouTube that are
Yeah,
always, like Elon, basically always working, never sleep.
yeah.
Um, which I don't know. I don't need the 8 hours, plus of sleep. But yeah, I don't know. When it's my time off, like I just don't want to do like hardly anything. So usually procrastinate, and then when I do get stuff done, I look like like an octopus or something. I'm doing like multiple things at once, knocking stuff out. But I definitely wait till the last minute.
I don't know. I envy you in the sense because you don't have kids, so it's like
I mean,
I would think that you'd be able to like do more shit stuff.
damn, damn. Well,
Yeah.
I guess I need to step it up, pump those numbers up.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. I would assume.
I mean, that is something. Like every time, like I feel like I'm tired and all this kind of stuff, and I talk to people with kids,
Mhm.
especially young kids, and they talk about like their hours and all that kind of stuff. I I think the closest I came to something like that is the dogs or the puppies, right? But because like with them, you can't. I mean, you can hardly sit down if you want to do it right. Like, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's still perspective, but whenever we do have kids, I think we're both gonna be like dead tired, basically.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, I guess what I was getting at is that I think it'd be easier to have a hobby without kids, obviously.
I
More
mean,
time.
before you had kids,
Hmm.
you used to play. You like Madden,
Yeah, I would,
right?
play the Xbox.
So there's probably a lot more time with that kind of stuff, and that's
Yeah.
that's. I mean, that's where I'm at. I mean, when my game comes out, which it has like a seasonal, the release basically.
Hmm.
Um, I pretty much know life it. My wife knows that I'm gonna like disappear for basically a couple weeks when I get to play it. Then after that, I kind of stop playing it so much. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, as I'm playing it, especially as I've gotten older and more demanding jobs and that kind of stuff, I definitely feel like it's more of a waste of time. But it's still something that I enjoy, right? Like I also enjoy going out and doing stuff too, but then that just seems like that much more difficult. It's just easy to sit in your house and become a potato.
How does your wife feel about you playing video games?
um she supports it because it's something that I like, and like she'll zone out. She's gotten different games on her phone that she's on level like 1800 on, like it's basically like Candy Crush or something, where you gotta connect the color shapes and they'll blow up or whatever. But
Mm.
I mean, I don't know. When we're both home, we both just kind of veg out and yeah, just try to basically recover from the week. She's got a really demanding job, and yeah, when I'm with my job now, it's basically I've got like an hour and a half between when I get home. I can hang out and then I gotta go to bed, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So when I'm off, it's like the first day is honestly kind of like recovery in
Mm.
a sense. And yeah, with kids, yeah, I don't even know. That sounds like that's gonna be a lot.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I've been humbled the last week or two because you see, like now with social media, I feel like there's all these expectations on where where you are and where you think you should be in life, And it's like, I feel like for me, I'm always like feeling like I should be farther than I am. And it's like I've been kind of humbled because like I was watching this one dude, and he's like, oh, how old are you? And the guy's like, oh, I'm 36. He's like, well, you're still a kid. Like in
Yeah.
his eyes, he's like, you're still young. So it's like, because it's like hard to balance like personal time and then focusing on personal growth, career wise, and so forth.
But yeah, getting time in for mental health, however that may be, whatever you may do to do that, you know, how much of that do you do, or how much of staying on top of things like making sure you're 100% involved with the kids, or getting 100% of the chores done. I don't know, I feel like there's not enough time in the day, to be honest. Just in general, even when I did have a normal Monday through Friday, like 8-hour job.
Mm.
um, I don't know, definitely doesn't feel like there's enough time in the day. But you hit on something there, the thinking like it's never enough. So I feel like I think this is more of a male thing, and maybe I'm wrong, but as a male, the security for the female, a big tie generally is finances, right?
Yep.
And we see all this, in the information age that we're in, we see all this jargon about, you know, uh, dividend stocks or passive income, passive income kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
or different like side gigs, or whatever you can do to make extra income. Because doing the 9 to 5, you're never gonna get ahead, unless you sacrifice pretty much everything for how you eat and your whole lifestyle 100% of the time. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's nobody, almost nobody does that.
Yeah.
So I think as a male, it actually, I mean, I can speak for myself on this, but I'm curious on yours.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like getting blasted with all that stuff all the time, it makes me want to look into other stuff, like a secondary way to make money, because want to be financially free. And even though, we make pretty good money, but even though we do, it still feels like, it's just not enough. And I'm sure we can cut things, but that's not, where we want to be. Um, so looking into all these different ways to make passive income, or different ways to make extra income, it feels like it's all there but unattainable in a way. And going through the cycles of, well, should I, start developing a game, or should I develop an app, or do side jobs for other things that can be online, because online is really the only real way to scale if you actually want to scale something. You could do local business, but that's probably more practical, but it's a lot more busybody, I think,
Yeah.
right? And so then that goes back to time. Like I just feel like there's not enough time. But yeah, honestly, I think this actually affects the male psyche, to where it creates the feeling like you're failing because you can't do this on top of your other stuff. And honestly, I feel that all the time. Which I don't know. You hear a lot of people say that kind of a thing, but yeah, if if you can't set up passive income to be like all these other people, that it just looks so easy online, all this kind of stuff, then
Mm-hmm.
like what are you doing? But like, I don't know what you've tried before, but we're doing this podcasting thing for fun. It's probably never going to take off, right? But like, looking into every opportunity that could be out there, you definitely have to sacrifice time.
Mm-hmm.
And then how do you scale it? And what's the chance? It seems like a lottery if it does grab, right? So I don't know. It just seems like you're set up for failure in all these spaces, and you're lucky if something gets traction, but you are sacrificing time.
Yeah. Well, I think like today, especially there's a different mindset of men now than say 20, 30 years ago, in the sense of I think we're more aware of our position in life, in the sense of like I always say this as a half joke, like we're humans, especially we're just happy slaves, and when you know there's an easier way to make money instead of doing a 9 to 5, because I'm a blue collar worker and I make good money,
Mm-hmm.
but when you like it's like there's that quote where like you either can work for your dream or you're gonna to build someone else's dream, and it's true, because like I make good money and I get honest pay. I'm happy. I'm doing something I like to do, but I'm not chasing my dream
Mm-hmm.
and building my own. You know what I'm saying? So
What
it's
would, if you were free to do whatever, what would your thing be?
hmm, I don't know. I would say hmm, that's hard. I'd probably definitely explore more, like around the world. I would do more things for myself. I guess I don't know. What would you do?
I think if I had the freedom, financial freedom to do whatever, I think I would be a lot more likely to actually do stuff that gives back. Ever since we got the puppies, we're like, man, if we hit the lotto, we could just have like a puppy ranch and take in all these dogs and all this kind of save a bunch of dogs' lives. But I think I would want to do more with people. I was actually thinking yesterday, thinking about different ways that I could try to give back. Um, and I have no idea where to even start on that. But something that where it's not just for me, right? Because everything's always been about for me or my family, which I do try to help my family whenever I can. Um, in fact, I get more done for my mother-in-law than I think I do for my house. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, I don't know. I think I want to try to do some kind of charitable stuff where it maybe not even like financially, because I'm not sure I'm in the position to do that, but something to where I kind of like sacrifice my time or whatever, and try to actually help someone and maybe even connect with them so they feel seen, kind of a thing. You know, I don't know. Have you done different like charity events or giving back to the community or anything like that?
I've done stuff to the church. I've done stuff to the church,
Yeah.
given my time. I used to be an usher, helped clean up, things like that. They have like this thing called Nivea outreach. So like it's feeding the people like poor and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's good. People who need food or whatever. So I've done stuff like that. It's definitely a good feeling, and um, I definitely encourage you to do that.
Yeah, then you mentioned like more exploring or adventuring. I mean, for sure, I feel like pretty much most people would want to. I for sure would want to do something like that. And yeah, I don't know. There's a Reddit called anti-work. I don't know if you've ever come across that,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the idea of we shouldn't have to work as much as we do, because it is basically you're trading your time for money,
Mm-hmm.
which the money you can't really control the value too much. I mean, you can get skills and stuff that makes your time worth more, but it's still you're trading your life for
Mm-hmm.
somebody else's means,
Yeah.
basically. So
Yeah, and I guess what I was really trying to say, like, not thinking about it now, like, if I was at that point free financially and all that, I think I would just spend more time investing in things I like to do. Because, like, right now, working 9 to 5, blue collar, family, and all that, it's just a lot of self sacrifice where I have to put myself to the side to make sure my kids are
well,
good,
and
wife's good, things of that
yeah,
nature.
and you say 9 to 5, but I know your schedule and it's
Yeah.
brave, right?
Yeah.
So like your schedule and how it works with your wife, just to make sure you guys have coverage or as
Yeah.
much coverage as you can with the kids, like
Yeah.
there's a lot there. And
Yeah.
um, what if the government had childcare to where you didn't have to worry about that or something? I don't know. It's just, yeah, you're basically trading away your time and you never know too, right? You never know when the bell's going to ring, kind of a thing. I mean, everybody thinks I'll be 70, 80, 90, whatever, but could be today,
Mm-hmm.
which not the best topic, but yeah. So I don't know. And I guess so. You're trading your time, but then also, are you getting anything fulfilling other than money, right? So not I guess I'd say most people aren't where they can say they're actually enjoy, maybe not most people, but how many people do you think actually enjoy what they do and, get some sort of fulfillment out of it
Mm-hmm.
rather than they're there to, punch the clock and
Yeah.
yeah, they got the task to execute and they may, do that well or not, but are they get actually enjoying some of that, and for me, I think most things that I've done, I think executing and feeling some pride for completing a task and doing it well. I do like that. Um, and I'm a very social person, so meeting new people, not all the times, but sometimes can be good, right? I'm definitely an extrovert, but I don't know. It's if it wasn't forced, I wonder how different the world would be. Because I mean, it is forced, or else what happens? You live in the gutter somewhere.
Yeah. So, so the motivation, you feel like you have a lack thereof, or 'cause you said like the last few weeks. So what's going on?
Um, well, I procrastinate, right? So that is part of it. That's always been part of it. But um, I think it's a lot easier to just not do all those things, right? I mean, um, I've got let's talk about the backyard, right? I've got all these different things in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it'll be there next week, and that happens for weeks, months, year, even on some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I don't always feel like doing those things to go complete the task because it just doesn't ultimately matter. Even though I know when I'm done with that kind of stuff, it's like it can make things look nicer, make me feel good, or different utility, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I was watching Alaskan Bush People. You ever seen that show?
Yeah,
Okay, so the genius kid, the scientist kid, he had a quote, and I swear, like, so he said, "Don't do tomorrow what could be done today." And I'm like, huh. And I found myself ever since I heard that quote, like thinking about things around the house. I procrastinate. Don't do tomorrow what could be done today. Okay, I'll go do it. Like he's right.
I mean, I've definitely heard similar things. You know, by now I think everybody's heard of ice bath, right, or cold plunge, or whatever it's called.
No, I never heard of
Uh huh. And
that.
so it's got health benefits for you, but a big part of it is just doing it, right? Even Joe Rogan, right? He's the most popular person out there that does this kind of stuff, and even he says he does not want to get in, but once he's done, he's going to conquer the day, kind of a thing. And it's the same thing for like cold shower too, but the act of actually doing it is the hardest, or starting it is the hardest part. And then once you're in it, you're like, well, I'm already in it, might as well finish, kind of a thing. Um, and every once in a while, I think of that. I remember that kind of mentality. That I'm like, eh, you know. Have you done a cold shower on purpose?
When I was younger, yeah. No, I've not done that in like a long time.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll get a cold shower like every morning when I get home, just because.
to wake you up.
No, because our water, like our, if we don't run our water all night, so basically the person who gets the first shower in the morning, it's like cold.
You can't just run it.
If you run it, you have to let like the water heater heat up. So you, it's like you gotta get all that cold water out. It sucks, dude. So like,
So you can't just run it for like 10 minutes before you take a shower.
you no, because again, like I said, if we just ran it, it would just the water would just stay like dull basically. That's why like I love it when Katie she'll take a shower sometimes before I get home. I'm like, oh, okay,
I love
cool.
it when my wife gets a cold shower so I get a warm shower.
Yeah, basically, I'm like, because I'll ask her like, did you take a shower? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, sweet, thanks.
No, that's when you give the kids a shower, right, or a bath or whatever. Here you go, kiddos.
Uh,
You get the ice
your
cold
your
water.
shower's like hot all the time. Is your
I
water?
let it run for like. I mean, the water heater is like right across the hallway, so
But is it like in the early in the morning? Like it's always warm.
no, you let it run a minute or two, and it's good to go.
Yeah. Well, your house is also like way newer.
How old is your house? You don't know what year? Mine's 87. So, but they also I got a new water heater when we
80,
moved
huh?
in. 80.
Yeah.
I mean, it also depends on the water heater, I guess, too, right? But I got a new one when we moved in because the old one was doing things where it's basically like, hey, I'm ready to blow up on you. It's time. So I just replaced it. But I think it being up here definitely helps.
Mm-hmm.
If it was downstairs, I think it would take a lot longer. It's like getting the water hot for the dishwasher.
Mm-hmm.
I actually run the sink beforehand to get the line hot. But so the dishwasher is actually using hot or whatever water. And I always think about the washer as well because downstairs because I know it's not getting hot water when it's actually calling for it like early on. But yeah, anyways, so cold plunge or cold showers. I mean, it's like ripping the band-aid off. You just do it, right? And generally when you do that, you don't like half-ass the rest of your day. Honestly, when I was doing, which maybe I just need to figure out how to do this, but cold plunge or shower plus working out, even
Mm-hmm.
if the workout's not like, you know, crazy long or intense, that set up my day. I feel really good throughout the day. I'm happy. I'm uh, motivated, and also like for eating, it makes me like, well, I did all that stuff. I don't want to like reverse it, kind of a thing, right? So maybe I just need to figure out how to get back into that because like I don't have a routine. Like when I'm off, dude, it is chaos. I basically deal with the dogs in the morning, game or just watch videos, and then just like the day goes by.
So, why do you think it is that we know there's something that's good for us, and we know it's the right thing to do, and in the end it's better for us, but we don't do it?
I mean, we have free will. We know if you give X input, you'll get X or Y output. Um, but you have to do the thing. Like, why can't I just have the Y output and not do the thing? you know? Let me just like Ozempic or all these other diet things, right? Why can't I just take the thing and then I don't have to put in all the work and I get the result? Um,
I would say we believe that the outcome of not doing that thing is not that bad when it is that bad. So say it's working out consistently. Say, oh, I want to work out consistently, and then I'll work out a few days. But we get that small thought in our brain, like, oh, well, it's not that bad. Like, it's okay. That's what I think.
you know, uh, I don't know if you and Katie have ever done like a group workout thing, but
Mm-hmm.
we have a couple of times. And what I've noticed with those, it's like it's peer pressure. As long as you can go, you'll meet these other people that are working out at the same time, and it creates some kind of accountability. Which yeah, you'll have like the coaches like, oh, another rep or heavier weight or whatever. But what I notice is really successful with those environments, it's the peer pressure. And if you don't show up, it's like, oh man, no. they're gonna know that I didn't go today and like all this kind of stuff. So it's like,
Well, well, it's seeing other people go through what you're going through really does encourage you.
yeah, and it so with all of that, it creates consistency. So even if you're not killing it on the workout, being consistent longer, the 1% gain over a year versus like a 10% gain for a couple of days,
Yeah.
and reverses or whatever, like creating that consistency is the thing. That's what the success is, or that's what creates the success.
Well, I think you really hit on a thing. If you know, with the motivation, if you get in a group that's like you said, doing a like-minded thing, that will help you.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, just even people will affect you in ways that you don't even realize until you actually like think about it. Like I had a friend at work recently say, yeah, like I'm really tired because he's going to school right now. He's going through the apprenticeship program. He's like, I'm really tired, but knowing that you're going to school and you have a kid too, and your daughter, my daughter's too, and he has a son who's like 8 months old. So I was thinking about you on the way home, and it just kept me going. I'm like, oh yeah, that's good, dude. Like yeah, like so it's like you touch people in ways you don't really think you would.
Yeah.
So it's it's we naturally like me. I'm like the opposite of you. I'm very to myself. I don't mind being around people, but I'm very like I think I said this on the last podcast, but I'm very okay being by myself. It doesn't bother me.
Do you feel like when you're with or when you're around other people, especially if it's not like your family or something, like just other people,
Uh,
like even me, do you feel like your batteries are being drained then after you do something like this or something more social? Do you feel like you need to recoup and kind of feel like you gain some peace from being by yourself again? Because I know some introverts, like my wife, she for sure needs to do that kind of stuff.
I just I think I just have a really bad habit of seeing more negative in people than positive. What I mean is like if I'm around a person or people and I just they're saying things that aren't themselves to like make themselves look good in a group. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're
And
saying.
that
I feel like we all kind of
a
do it.
lot of people it's like it's more I see it all the time. And it's like very hard to find a person who's real
Yeah.
24/7 or like because I mean obviously to an extent you're gonna want to try to fit in or try not to be the odd
I
person
mean,
out.
most everybody wants to
Fit in,
to
yeah, they
to
want to
not
be.
stand out.
Yeah, but it's just like and then and also too is like when I'm around people, like it's like if me and you right now we're cool, we're having a good conversation, and say someone else comes into the party, you start acting different because he's in the party. It's like I see that, like, oh, okay, so you only like this when your buddy's not here or your person's not here.
Yeah.
So I have a really bad habit of seeing negative in people, and it just like it makes me just like, all right, like I don't know. And don't get me wrong, like there's people I know, like there are real people and friends, and that's why I keep my circle really small.
Yeah. I mean, man, that's such a deep topic. I think because so if somebody's insecure, right?
Hmm.
How do they feel better about themselves? Generally, they pull somebody else down, right? So you're talking about a thing, they're like, oh well, when I did this, I was this much better at this thing. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, well, you know,
yeah,
so like you have the one uppers, or you just have people that just literally put you down. And
yeah.
I think I don't know. I don't want to really speak for females because I think it's definitely a lot different. But for guys, that's kind of the guys have the camaraderie of like usually when guys talk shit to each other, it means that they actually somewhat respect them,
Oh yeah,
unless they're being like an actual,
yeah. You know the difference.
yeah,
But if we're talking shit to each other, if I'm giving you a hard time,
yeah,
it means I care about you.
yeah,
Like, and not
And
in a girly way, but
not in a not in a 2021 way.
yeah, but it means that you're
Yeah,
my friend.
yeah, and yeah, when I'm quiet, that's usually means that I'm mad, but I still don't want to cause something.
Yeah,
um,
it's funny because I've learned that I don't have to be that person. So like we're all I work in maintenance field. So when we have like a breakdown or whatever whatever it could be,
mhm.
say emergency situation, there's always that someone who wants to be that guy who wants to be, oh, like I fixed it, or I solved this problem, right? Like look at me type thing.
Yeah.
And
Well, and there is a difference between I am competent and I want to make sure people know how to do it, and like supervisors see that the problem's like holistically fixed
uh,
versus you know I am the one that did all of this, and
yeah,
maybe even add the other shift didn't look at this, but we sure did. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, I know both of us
oh yeah.
have definitely seen that.
But it's funny because like I'm really at a point where I don't have to be that guy. Like I was having a conversation with this dude the other day. I'm like, hey man, like I'm here no matter what, and I can either I can be the guy. I don't have to be the guy. Like if I don't need to always be on the front page of the problem. So
Yeah.
I've learned to mellow out, calm down, and that type of thing.
Yeah, so similar for me, um, a similar scenario. It's, I'm learning, so I'm a supervisory role now with direct reports, and I'm learning, among all these other problems, ego definitely cannot be part of the equation. Um, and I've tried a couple different tactics, and they may or may not have, or they work to different effectiveness, right? But you know, if any amount of ego or emotion is part of decision making for a supervisory role, then you're basically setting yourself up for success or for failure. And that I've definitely been learning a little bit the hard way on some stuff. But trying to just be black and white and the same for all, which I don't I don't really believe in the same for all or same treatment for all because everybody needs a little bit different. Like the new guy might not be as confident, so I kind of try to give him some encouraging talks versus the lead guy. It's more just like, hey man, you're handling the shit great. I don't want to micromanage kind of a thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's
So you feel like you're struggling to motivate or your team?
well, I think with how demanding the job can be, especially, I mean, you know very well the weight of downtime,
Yeah,
right? Being a maintenance, downtime is the opposite of what you want, and when it
sure.
happens a long time, and if it could be finger pointed to your department because that's just how production works. It's either production or it's maintenance's fault. But guess what? It's most likely going to be maintenance's fault because why wouldn't they see that, right? Um, so yeah, I don't know. When there's extensive downtime,
Uh huh.
people from up above will start to press down because they're making potentially panic decisions that aren't really practical, right? So now there's just extra pressure and just yeah, I don't know. So when work is, and I typically handle stress pretty well, but when it's past my limit, then it's like you know, it's almost like getting forced into like a depressive state, which I don't want to say I'm depressed because generally I'm not, but I'm not afraid to say if I am or not, but generally I'm not depressed, but it kind of forces you to like a similar state. So yeah,
So you're having a hard time battling conflict with your team and then production.
I think it's just the growing pains of learning how to fit in the environment and still get things done.
So do you think it's your team's fault?
I think learning the culture of the team Um, Trying to understand that because it's not something that I'm used to is definitely a challenge. And even when you think you're doing something right, it could just take a left turn kind of a thing. So it's definitely been hard to navigate that. And I don't know. I touched on depression. I'm generally pretty happy, pretty carefree, right? But then I'll get stressed out and I might feel a certain way sometimes. But I don't know if you know, but anybody that's like clinically depressed. I've got a buddy that literally I don't know what medicine he takes, but he's supposed to take some kind of medicine to
Uh,
help him out. But you know, he'll when he's doing good, he'll actually take the medicine. And when he's not, he doesn't take the medicine. He doesn't barely go out. The only he doesn't do any of these things that could help him like chemically balance inside. Um, Generally, stays inside, plays video games. He might, go drinking or doesn't do that as often anymore. But like the drinking is a great escape, which I can say that for myself. When I used to just drink all the time, it's just escapism. Same with playing games. Honestly, you kind of don't think about life. You're just in that zone, right? Um,
mhm.
and I don't know. It just like for somebody like him, it generally makes it worse. And then somebody like me, like, hey, go do all these things that'll make you feel better. But again, it goes to the earlier part in our conversations, like, well, that sounds great, but I got to do it. So, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have you ever have you ever been in the state of depression where like you feel like you can't do anything?
Yes and no. Yeah, yes and no. Um, because I mean, I've been depressed, but I've always been so, I don't know, simple, so it's I just stay on my task type thing, and I've always, I guess I let fear take over more than depression, and the fear makes me motivated to do things that will help me not have to fear. Because I fear a lot, I worry a lot,
Yeah.
and that motivates me. Because I think depression is a escape, and I'm not an expert on depression. I don't take depression pills,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I could see like I feel like that could be an escape in a sense, and you know
It's a
it's hard. And I'm not saying depression's definitely a real thing.
yeah.
And I think some of it has could have to do with how you were raised. Some of it has to do with childhood things, maybe trauma,
Do you think
like
it's a choice?
depression. Well, there is this quote. Well, I'll say a quote where I think it was actually 50 Cent might have said it, where it's like, if you grew up in the hood, you wouldn't have time to be depressed. I'm like, he's got a point, because they don't have time to be depressed.
If you have something to fall back on,
So,
I think it makes it easier, right, to be in that state. Because if you don't have something to fall back on for some kind of security financially or whatever,
well,
you would have to go do those things. I think is what you're saying, right?
well, it's growing up. You learn about like mind, body, soul. I always thought it was a stupid thing to talk about and think about. I'm like, all right, like this is dumb. But as I'm getting older, I'm like, dang, dude, like it is a real thing. If you take care of your mind, your body, and your soul, you'll and truly do that. If you're striving for that, I don't think it's possible to be depressed. I don't think it's possible. I think if you're a man, let's just talk about men. If you're working out, trying to get yourself in the best shape, if you're eating healthy and just taking care of yourself, and then mentally, it's like learning, reading. I don't know. It could be reading a book every day, doing things that you know aren't having negative effects on you. I think it's impossible to be a depressed person. Personally, I think depression comes from. Again, I'm not an expert on this, and I even fear talking about it.
Yeah,
You know,
neither of
but
us claim to be experts of anything.
yeah, I feel I feel if you look at a lot of depressed people, it just it's a lot of lifestyle choices, in my opinion, and then usually something happened. It could be from their childhood, like they didn't have a father, or they were dad was an alcoholic. All these things were
Both parents died, and now you
exactly.
inherited their house or something.
Yeah, exactly. So do I think it's a choice? Yes, I do. I think. What do you think?
I see why you're saying that it's more of a choice than something that's chronic, or that's just inherently going to be there. I think when I've been my most depressed, which has been a long time, but when I've been my most depressed, it feels debilitating, and this is just my you know me. I don't know how everybody else feels, but it just feels debilitating. Like you can't do anything, and it doesn't like nothing matters. Um, and you're just like for me, it's like just feeling frustrated at anything, everything, right? Um, and having like zero bandwidth to do anything. Like you can't like even just to go make a sandwich, right? Like that's really not that much work, but when you're in that state, or when I was in that state, something like that just seemed like way too much. And I see people that's like with it chronically, I guess, and even with me feeling that way, I still just don't understand how it can be like a chronic thing where it's every single day. I just don't get it. And I think the boomer generation, and anybody that has any real amount of masculinity in them, they don't really see it either. And I think that's kind of where it's on your side, where it's like a decision. Well, I could sit here and sulk, or I can go get whatever done. I definitely agree to that to an extent. I think that the more there's a potential chemical imbalance, and I don't know the chemicals to call out, but when there's a chemical imbalance, it's just kind of forced on you. And so yeah, you can try to snap out of it, but I think when the chemicals are so far off, it's just gonna happen.
Yeah, but do you think that because I would assume that depression is being more of a brought up thing now in this time of age, but if you go back to the 60s and 50s, 40s and 30s,
I think
because
society is more accepting now.
well, but if you think about it, think about the way of life. Now we come home, Netflix, chill, screen, phone, screen, texting, yada yada. Back then, you were outside. You were being in Mother Nature. You were under the sun. You know, and I think humans need that. I think
Yeah.
we need because it's like
Well, you go from the inside of your house to the inside of generally work is going to be inside a building, and some of those buildings they don't even have like windows. I know the factory that you work at, you really don't unless you're outside going from the yard to the building. When you're inside the building, there is no real light, right? And I'm kind of lucky where I'm at now. There is more, but it's still once you're like in the center of the building, you're not getting daylight. It's all fluorescence.
well, and it goes back to our conversation earlier. It's like when you find yourself depressed, or I feel like a majority of people when they're probably depressed, and you could probably speak more on this, is when they're alone and not in community and not with other people.
It probably spirals more, yeah, if you don't have somebody talk to about it or to, you know,
Well, and I'm not saying that people don't get depressed. What I am saying is when people say like, I'm just depressed for the rest of my life.
yeah, I mean, that's a hard one for me to get, especially if you're a masculine male. That's with a more traditional mindset, not so much the progressive mindset that more men have nowadays. You know, you get the traditionalism in there, and it's, you know, come on, pussy, you know, get on with your day, like stop crying, right? But um, I think society is definitely just a lot more accepting, and also, you know, medical industry. When there can be a pill to push, they're gonna push it, and you know,
Yeah.
why work on yourself? And I think the psychiatrists actually do say these different things that you could do to feel less that way, right? But in general, people want the magic pill. Here's the magic pill. You buy it, you take it or not. That's up to you. But here's magic pill. You know?
Yeah, and it's like to me it's like if you're depressed, just instead of saying I'm depressed, just why don't you face why are you actually depressed? What's making you actually depressed? Is it a fear? Is it because like I can get depressed just sitting here thinking about where how I'm not
Why am I not a millionaire right now?
exactly. No, I mean seriously though,
Yeah.
but and I think that people just are too scared to face that fear, face that reality of why, and then come to peace with that or seek help for that instead of soaking in misery of depression. Because
Yeah.
in a weird way, it could be a comfort. I could see that.
Well, yeah. I mean, it could be a excuse as to why, you know, if you really live in that world, I mean, and you know, there would be people that definitely don't agree with this, but that could be the excuse as to why you don't get stuff done. And you tell yourself, well, I can't because I'm depressed, or I can't do this thing because I'm anxious, or I can't do this thing because, you know, whatever those people might think I'm weird, so I can't do it. So, yeah, I bet that, you know, people need the mental toughness, which I think there's less of that nowadays.
So, what got you out of depression?
mm, I think just time. I mean, there's trying to think back. You know, at the worst time, it felt like it was forced onto me, and I couldn't bear like the frustration or something. Um, and maybe that's just like a panic attack. I don't know. I don't know why it was, but I think just like the next day, you know, you go to sleep and okay, well, I'm gonna do this stuff now, and it is what it is. But um, I do think, you know, you brought up or we both talked about some sort of routine for your mind, body, soul. I think that's definitely a big deal because, you know, you did yours or do yours, and when I've really kept a healthy routine, I've, you know, felt great, and even kind of project that onto other people to try to like um, affect people positively throughout the day, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's easy to say poor me, I guess, or easier.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, it's like I'm thinking about like when you get older and say your loved one passes away. That's when and you're living by yourself and you don't have face value with people. That's you'll see a lot of elderly people get Alzheimer's. And it makes you wonder. It's like, are they getting? Is it because they're by themselves? Do you know what I'm saying?
well, I think seniors especially, there's definitely a lot of mental toughness that they need to build because, and I haven't experienced it for myself, but I've seen other senior people that go through this, that
Mm-hmm.
you know, let's say their wife dies and they mourn the wife, and now they're lonely all of a sudden, so they try to find that companionship with other people that they were already with. But that companionship, I don't think it really fills that void, or not all the time, right? So they might want to try to date. And to date, how the hell do old people date nowadays? All the young kids use the apps. So okay, well we gotta use Tinder or something like that.
Yeah.
They don't get it.
Yeah.
Not, at least not all of them. And if they sit at home, then they're comfortable and in their safe space or whatever. But now they just sit there and sulk and get angry about the world and that kind of stuff, rather than going out and doing stuff, meeting other people. Because even if you're introverted, it like we still need to socially engage,
Yeah.
right? And I've definitely seen it to where they will not do all those positive things or all the things that might put them outside their bubble, but they get some kind of net benefit from it. Um, and when they don't do that, they will kind of just become grumpy, right? It's like the stereotype grumpy old man. It's because a lot of the time they're just mad at the world for poor me, when if they go out and do things to better themselves, they don't have to be the grumpy old man. Like I've seen old men with that are widowed or whatever, that is that the right term? Widowed for yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways. Um
Yeah.
the just the nicest old guy that always is positive and stuff. Like, yeah, personality is part of that, but if you just let the world kind of push you down, then yeah, you're going to turn into this toxic nasty thing and die alone, and nobody's going to like you and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And it's interesting too because they say like once you stop learning is when your brain starts dying. So like reading a book every day or this and that.
Are you telling me staying at home watching Jerry Springer and Judge Judy all day, is that
Yeah, you're getting Alzheimer's, dude.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but yeah. So yeah, it's interesting for sure.
yeah. Well, I think that you want to wrap it up there for the day.
Yeah.
All right.